Hey everyone, it's Lizzie from the Public Library, and I'm so excited to be here today to talk about 5 new books for teens. Now, the first book I'm really excited about is by author Stacey Lee. If you've never read anything by Stacey Lee, she does really lovely historical fiction, often focusing on characters of Chinese descent or Chinese Americans throughout history. And this book is no exception. This is the new book called Luck of the Titanic. So Stacey Lee was inspired by recent discoveries that there were 6 passengers of Chinese descent on the Titanic. And I think some of them survived and kind of had these harrowing experiences afterwards. But she was inspired by that and kind of creates her own story involving this character, Vera Luck. So at the beginning of the story, Vera stows away secretly on the Titanic, is able to kind of talk her way into the upper decks, upper class, in search of her twin brother who she hasn't seen for a long time. And she hopes that once she finds him, that they can actually join the circus, the Ringling Brothers. And so there's kind of this, she's got like a secret identity, there's definitely like some family drama going on, and this is all before the Titanic hits the iceberg. And of course, then it turns into a race to survive. I definitely think if you like historical action adventure, this is a great choice. If you want to read something for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, anything by Stacey Lee is going to be great. I'm really excited for this one. Next up, we have Blade of Secrets by Tricia Levenseller. I don't know if this is going to be a series, but if it is, this is book 1. And I will tell you, for a fantasy book, oh my gosh, it's so thin. It's about 310 pages, which is quite short for a fantasy. So if you're reluctant to read like a really big fantasy novel, like 500, 600 pages, this might be a good one to start with. So Blade of Secrets reminds me a lot of Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows, in that it takes this fantasy world with magic and kind of has a protagonist at the center who's dealing with mental illness, a very real world problem. So in Before She Ignites, the main character had OCD. In this book, the main character, Ziva, has social anxiety. She's actually a sword maker, and she works by herself in the forge. She loves being behind the scenes. She doesn't want to deal with people. But the action kicks off when a warlord asks her to make this special sword. And she discovers that this sword has the power to reveal secrets. Blade of Secrets. And when she discovers that the warlord wants to use this power for evil, basically to take over the world, she goes on the run with the sword, her sister, and there's more people that join the quest, which is a problem for someone with social anxiety. I love that it kind of takes some traditional elements of like the fantasy quest, turns it on its head, gives you a character that you can relate to that maybe isn't always brave first thing. I can really relate to that. So if you want to try a new fantasy, I would definitely recommend Blade of Secrets. The third book today is Indivisible by Daniel Aleman. This is the author's debut novel. The author was born and raised in Mexico City and now lives in Toronto and writes about a Mexican-American boy named Mateo. And Mateo and his sister Sophie, they've lived in the United States their whole lives, but his parents are undocumented immigrants. And so they've always feared the possibility of deportation, but because they've been here so long, they think it's not something we really need to worry about. One day, Mateo comes home from school, and his parents, he realizes, have been taken by ICE. And he needs to care for his sister, his house, figure out what to do next, whether it's about his parents or school. Definitely things that no one should have to deal with. And amidst all of that, he's got the regular things that teens need to take care of too, the possibility of first love as well. So it's a really, I think, poignant, contemporary, realistic story. It's very timely. There is humor in it as well. I think anyone who likes the Darius the Great books, Adib Karam, will indeed enjoy Indivisible as well. Okay, I have been looking forward to this book for a while. This is Hurricane Summer by Asha Bromfield. This is the author's debut, and Asha Bromfield is an actress. Let me see, I'm going to show you her picture. If you've watched Riverdale or Lock and Key, she is on both of those shows. She is of Afro-Jamaican descent, and so is her main character, Tilla. The story is about Tilla and the complicated relationship she has with her family, specifically her dad, who's from Jamaica and often returns there, leaving her and her mom alone. She does get the chance to go visit her father for the summer, which she actually dreads, but she really does want him to love her and want to be with her. So she goes to Jamaica, and Tilla basically gets stuck during this hurricane summer in this huge, like, actual storm while there's all sorts of family drama going on. It's kind of this mashup of, like, the storm within their family and then the actual, like, natural disaster that's happening around them. It's pretty intense. I think this one is going to be great for fans of Elizabeth Acevedo, like With the Fire on High and Clap When You Land. Anyone who's read those and enjoyed them, I think will also enjoy Hurricane Summer. All right, you know I had to end with a horror novel. I love horror, so I'm going to tell you about the new book by Goldie Moldavsky called The Mary Shelley Club. Now, it looks like historical horror, but it's not. It's more like Truly Devious, the Maureen Johnson series, where it's like a thriller mystery with a little horror that takes place at a prep school. This one, I would say, is ratcheted up in the horror department, though. It's about a girl named Rachel who starts at this prep school. She's a scholarship student. She already feels out of place and gets involved in this, like, prank gone wrong where more people kind of look down on her. It's not a good start. But she does attract the attention of this kind of secret society, the Mary Shelley Club, which is like a group of students that love horror movies and kind of do what they call the fear tests, which are like pranks, but they're like horror related. It's pretty messed up. She gets involved in this kind of pranking group, and then, of course, everything kind of escalates and gets more dangerous, and then someone is pranking the group of kids that are pranking. It gets complicated. But for horror books, I always like to read what the reviews are. So I want to tell you that Jeff Zentner, who's a great YA author, said, don't try to read this one right before bed if you want to sleep, which, strangely, some people like that review. Someone else says, this club is seriously messed up. I loved everything about it. And then someone else describes it as a bright, smooth candy apple with a razor blade inside. Those are great reviews. If those kind of jump out to you and make you think, I want to read this one, definitely give the Mary Shelley Club a try. Okay, friends, I will see you again in 2 weeks with another What's New in YA video. It might be the last video for a while, but I will get to tell you about all of the cool things we have going on this summer. We've got some great book clubs for teens and things I think you'll be excited about. So join me again in 2 weeks. See you then.